Who do I kill? Thunderwave, that's not enough damage. I don't know what to do. 261 is pretty good. But I need you to be dead next turn as well. And unfortunately, Canifis, he's got to take care of this ninja here. Or the dragon. Since his turn's coming up. Dead. I could have easily killed the dragon with Evolved, I suppose. But whatever. Well, it is short, I suppose. You go away. Didn't do enough damage. I've determined that certain weapons seem to work better with certain classes. As you may guess already, some of the weapons have the additional status effect they can do, like that hammer I just used can cause silence. The claymore that I have on denim can do breach. So, you know, using that in combination with his, you know, instill fear ability, you're instilling fear, you're cutting their defense, you're doing decent damage. I mean, all those things just line up, and it only costs 25 MP to use it. It's super great. Like I said earlier, I'm going to be using Sestina, my Valkyrie, and White Knight or Holy Knight to do some of the healing, along with, of course, the Abuna healer. So that's sort of how I guess I balance this out. I do like the, you know, sort of the balance between them. But I don't mind. I don't mind having a dedicated healer in these games, because if you inevitably you're going to need a dedicated healer is what I'm trying to get at. Because you'll eventually get to the point where you have your knight or your Valkyrie, Rune Fencer, whatever class you want to call them. It'll be their turn to attack, and you'll have to make sort of I wouldn't say a difficult decision, but you'll make the decision between, do I want to attack the enemy, or do I want to heal my unit? Now, by healing the unit, of course, you're delaying, you know, them getting KO'd, knocked out, but it doesn't obviously prevent them from getting knocked out, particularly if 3 or 4 enemies decide to target down that one character back to back. You know, obviously by getting rid of a character, you eliminated damage that could be coming over the course of one or many turns, you know, as that enemy's turn comes up. But having a dedicated healer is great because every time their turn comes up, you can more or less count it as a wasted turn, but it's a turn that you can use to, you know, heal, delay the, you know, delay the offensive attacker from being KO'd. So I think that's kind of stuff. Well, I think it's interesting. I mean, more in a broader sense than specifically, hey, you bring a white mage to heal because you don't want your characters to die. That's pretty obvious. And if you're able to tank the damage, then you don't need a white mage at all. Except, you know, in the case where you want to deal holy damage or some, you know, heal status effects. But again, if you get to the point where your characters can basically tank any damage.
Just a little longer before the Lothlorien host arrives to relieve us. Hold! For the glory of Bakram, hold!
She's essentially saying that she's expecting reinforcements, which if you play, I played the PSP version, talked about it a ton of times. In that version, there are reinforcements, but more specifically, storyline speaking, she's expecting the Dark Knights to come in with their Templar units and help to reinforce the castle's wall. Now, from a gameplay standpoint, that doesn't happen because, at least as far as I can tell, there has not been any reinforcements in this game, this version of the game. Whereas in, like I said, previous versions, you get to that thing I talked about earlier where you just want to straight line it, which is basically you want to get as close as you can to the boss, take out the boss, be done with the level, because for every 5 guys you take out, there's another 2 or 3 that are coming in every couple turns, you know, or maybe every turn, I don't know. Like I said, when I was playing the PSP version, as broken as archers were in that game, I would just build up to a finishing move with Esrol, and then just have her 50% the, you know, 50 to 100% the boss, you know, and just sort of everything up to that point was sort of me just dancing around the battlefield, you know, healing, killing things as I could. But when it came to her turn and I had the ability to cast a long range, you know, dark weight or dark, whatever her first super attack is called, it doesn't have this arch that her normal attacks do, but as long as it is within her range to hit, it doesn't matter if they're high up, low on the ground, doesn't matter, she will hit them automatically. So, you know, like I said, you piddle around for a while trying to build up her meter, and then once she has it, you know, you do somewhere in the ballpark of like 50% damage, or maybe a third at worst. It just, you know, the bosses didn't have that kind of HP to sort of tank that, and, you know, it was a broken class is what it was. But yeah, I mean, I think sort of, like I said, not the specifics of, oh well, I think it's interesting that you have a, you know, you're going to need a white mage and you have to figure out, do you want to forego the traditional healer for a character that gives you a 2-prong ability of healing or attacking, like your white knight, like your lancer, or not lancer, Valkyrie, Ruin Fencer. Or do you rely on, say, consumables like healing salves, or in this case, they're healing herbs, to heal your character? I mean, these are all legitimate ways to do it. And obviously, you know, the healer obviously has some big benefits, but it also has some very big downsides. And that's what I always think is interesting, is when you have you know, you choose to balance out a game in which every character has something that they're really good at.
What takes them so long? Surely Lothlorien has not abandoned us.
I don't see any Dark Knights riding from the castle. The rift between the two forces must be wide indeed.
Yes. So yeah, they are either busy with the other force that's invisibly attacking the other walls, or they have decided not to support the other side. In either case, I mean, it helps us out because we're trying to move into the castle. They're after a different goal that we haven't yet stated yet. They're not really here to make them part of the Empire per se, but they're looking for an artifact that they need certain people alive for right now. Boom. Parried. Alright, we're gonna have to get rid of you. Hey, you wanna know something interesting? Is if you kill the host of the shadow clone, the shadow also dies. So like, if I do this and kill her with this lightning bolt, they're gonna both disappear. Okay, she didn't die there, but you get my point. And then, you know, as we move up past the first set of walls here, I wouldn't say this second set of walls is harder to get past. It's just, as you can see, there's two ways to get up. One is sort of a more direct path to the right, and then there's an indirect path that you can come around from the left-hand side. And so, you know, you want to split your forces to a degree so that if the enemy goes left, you have characters heading up the left side. If they go right or they stay in the center, you have characters that are there as well to help take care of that. And then we're also going to ignore the fact that Canifis can fly, which makes him super valuable in this type of environment where there's, you know, huge height differences, you know, and he's not affected by the height differences. He just moves. You know, he gets up, he flies, he moves over the next area, drops. But I don't know. There's all kinds of nifty things you can do in this game, and the fact that it's balanced is kind of obnoxious. Obnoxious as in, I mean, like, you can't just create the Uber unit that just walks through and does, you know, if the enemy's got 1,000 HP, he or she's doing 500 damage, you know, and you're cleaning up enemies left and right because you're more powerful than they are. No, the way the game is based is they cap your level so you can't get overpowered when you're fighting, but in the same regard, this game does a really good job where I don't feel like I have to grind forever. So because there's a level cap, I know that when my characters hit whatever the cap is, you know, earlier it was 19, now it's 25, I think. And then later on it'll be a little higher. It helps to keep you in balance so that you're not like spending hours upon hours grinding out enemies that are 5-6 levels lower than you, that you're not getting any good experience out of them, but you're doing that as sort of a long-term proposition to basically steamroll the rest of the campaign. You know, you spend, you know, 10 hours grinding, and then, you know, you spend half that amount of time that you normally would in the actual campaign because you, like I said, you became overpowered. You can see there's a clog on the steps here, though, which is gonna be a bit of a problem because my units do not move like 5 or 6 spaces; they move like 3, depending on terrain. I suppose that was 1, 2. That was like 4 there, I think. Nope. Yep. What I wanted, what I was talking about with Dark Edge, as long as it's in range, he shoots it straight up in the air like a frickin' javelin missile. It just comes down and hits the enemy. Yeah, that's not gonna work, unfortunately. Good move, though. You see, I'm trying to eliminate the other spellcaster. There's kind of not a really great reason to go after the spellcaster versus the healer. Like, each of those options are valid. It's just I'm sort of thinking about it in terms of you know, close range versus long range. Right now I've got a bunch of my army up near where the Abuna is. So the likelihood of me having one of my physical attackers reach her and do this is a lot higher than, you know, me focusing down on her, defeating her with one of my archers, and then not being able to reach either one of the mages up at the top. So like I said, I'm doing damage, you know, in order to maximize, and I'm not wasting as many turns. Also, there's this. Nifty, huh? Doesn't work if you're using a physical attack, but if you're using some finisher physical magic-based one, it does. Hello, sir. Also, I can do this. Did you say dead? I can say dead. And just like that, there's one enemy left. One thing that's sort of interesting to me, I guess, about this game, well, not the game itself, but like, and I may have mentioned this in an earlier episode, but Let Us Cling Together is supposed to be like part 6 or part 7 of like an 8 or 9 part series, and it is like the only game, well, I shouldn't say it's the only game that's been remade. March of the Black Queen, I believe, has been remade at least once. And then there's also a there's a, I think it's called Knight of Los Lorien. So like, of the 7 or 8 or 9 or whatever number of games were supposed to be for this series, only 2 or 3 of them have come out in the United States. And I'm pretty sure the other ones have not come out. I don't think the other ones have come out in Japan either. So like, you got this long storyline. You're doing a Star Wars right now, where you're going to start New Hope. Hope that the storyline's interesting enough so that people want the prequel games to come out. But then the game series ends up becoming like not as popular as its successor Final Fantasy Tactics. So you make, you know, Tactics, Tactics Advance, and another Tactics game after that. You know, while this game doesn't get a remake anywhere in that time period. I don't get it. Oh, that's a lot of dead guys. That's, it's just 2 actually. She'll be dead in a second, so it won't matter. Oh, she lives by just a hair.
Hold the line. Hold.
Hold the line. Blech. Alrighty, we done did it. Cutscene time.
The front line is broken. Vidoc will fall.
And with me sitting the throne, a disgrace.
We must salvage what we can, my lord. Depart at once.
You expect me to desert my post?
The High Champion is a field without so much as an honor guard. I am asking you to protect him.
Of course. We must see to Lancelot. And there is the matter of the girl besides. Ozma, the castle is yours.
I'll take good care of her.
Ozma, watch yourself out there.
And you, my lord.